Welcome, everyone. We've got a really interesting one for you today. Before we get started, this episode is sponsored by Scient.bio. They're premier nootropics, by the way. You can find a link in the description to learn more about what modafinil is and how it works in the brain as a nootropic, especially for ADHD.
So we're going to be looking at a study about modafinil as a treatment for ADHD.
Okay.
Now, a lot of people rely on medications like, methylphenidate and amphetamine to manage their ADHD.
Right.
But for a significant chunk of people, like around 30%, these medications either just don't work or they come with some really rough side effects.
Yeah.
This is where modafinil kind of enters the picture as a potential alternative.
Yeah, and what's interesting about modafinil is that it doesn't work in quite the same way as those traditional ADHD medications. So, instead of just zeroing in on dopamine and norepinephrine reuptake, it actually acts on, multiple areas of the brain that are involved in attention and arousal. It basically gives this boost to frontal cortex activity.
So it's not just like laser focused on certain neurotransmitters, it's kind of taking a broader approach.
Exactly, yeah, a more holistic approach.
We've got this meta-analysis here that we're looking at, and it reviewed 5 placebo-controlled trials of modafinil, specifically in children and adolescents with ADHD.
Right.
What were some of the findings that they kind of pulled from that?
So this meta-analysis showed that modafinil significantly improved core ADHD symptoms. Things like inattention, hyperactivity, impulsivity.
Okay.
Both at home and in school settings, which is interesting.
So it wasn't just like in a clinical setting, it was actually noticeable in their everyday life.
Yeah. They saw improvements across the board.
That's really promising.
Yeah. And it's important to mention, too, that there were some side effects reported. Things like decreased appetite and insomnia were a little more frequent with modafinil than the placebo.
Okay.
But there weren't any significant cardiovascular problems observed.
That's good, especially when we're considering, long-term implications and stuff. This meta-analysis, it sounds really promising, but we definitely need more research, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We need more research. This was a relatively small number of studies. We need larger long-term studies to really solidify these findings and, to compare it head-to-head with traditional ADHD medications.
Yeah.
We need more data.
So we touched on this earlier, but I'm really curious about this different mechanism that modafinil uses compared to those traditional ADHD meds. Like, how might that actually translate into benefits for people who, maybe haven't had success with those traditional medications?
Well, if you think about it, traditional ADHD medications, they're largely focused on increasing dopamine levels in the brain.
Yeah.
That's kind of their main way of trying to improve focus and attention.
Right.
Modafinil, on the other hand, it's kind of like it's taking a more roundabout way, maybe.
Yeah.
It acts on those multiple brain regions we talked about, the ones associated with attention and arousal.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's sort of boosting that frontal cortex activity from different angles. And that's what suggests that, modafinil could actually be effective for individuals who just haven't found success with those traditional ADHD treatments. Because it's not just about, hitting that dopamine button harder. It's about kind of, approaching it from a different angle.
Yeah, it's like instead of just focusing on that one neurotransmitter, it's taking a more comprehensive approach to kind of help enhance that focus, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. It's like taking, multiple routes to reach the same destination.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes this meta-analysis so interesting. But, we've got to acknowledge its limitations, right?
Of course, yeah.
It only included a small number of studies, and it really just focused on children and adolescents. So we need more. We need more research to figure out, what are the long-term effects? And, what about its efficacy for adults? We don't have all those answers yet.
Yeah, and I imagine there's also a lot we don't know about potential interactions, like with other medications that people might be taking, especially given modafinil's kind of unique way of working in the brain.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
We need more data to really understand how modafinil interacts with other drugs, both in the short term and the long term. That's crucial.
It really seems like we're just at the tip of the iceberg here in understanding how modafinil could be used to help people with ADHD. So, what would you say are some of the most critical questions that need to be addressed through, further research at this point?
Well, first and foremost, we've got to delve deeper into its long-term safety profile. The meta-analysis didn't flag any, major red flags like cardiovascular risks, but, we really need more extensive studies to confirm that it's safe over, really extended periods. We don't want any surprises down the line.
Right, yeah. Long-term safety is crucial.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the confidence of its efficacy across different age groups. This meta-analysis focused on kids and teenagers. But we need more studies to really understand how modafinil affects adults with ADHD.
Yeah.
Their brains are different. Their bodies are different. We can't just assume it'll be the same.
Yeah, for sure. And, we always have to remember that not everyone responds to medication the same way. ADHD is definitely not one size fits all, so what works wonders for one person might do absolutely nothing for another.
100%.
Huh.
And, that actually brings up another really important point for future research. Could modafinil be a more effective option for specific subsets of people with ADHD? Like maybe there's something in their brain chemistry or their symptom profile that makes them more likely to benefit from it. That's something we need to explore further.
It sounds like we're on the verge of a really exciting time in how we approach ADHD treatment, moving away from that one-size-fits-all model and towards something much more personalized and effective.
It really does feel that way. And, ultimately that's the goal, isn't it? To empower individuals with ADHD with treatment plans that actually work for them, that address their unique needs and challenges, not just trying to fit everyone into the same box.
Yeah, it really feels like we're kind of moving into this new era of ADHD treatment,
Right.
like moving away from this one-size-fits-all approach and more towards something that really embraces that individual variability.
And that's the ultimate goal, right? To empower individuals with ADHD with treatment plans that really address their unique needs and challenges.
Speaking of empowering individuals, let's circle back to our sponsor, Science.bio, for a second.
Yeah.
They're doing some really cool work in the field of nootropics.
They are.
Offering products that are designed to enhance cognitive function.
Their commitment to research and innovation is really commendable.
Yeah.
And they have a ton of information about nootropics on their website, which I definitely encourage our listeners to check out.
Yeah, you can find a link to Science.bio in our show notes. And as always, remember, it's always a good idea to talk to your doctor or a healthcare professional before starting any new supplement or medication regimen.
Absolutely. Informed decisions are key.
Well said. All right, so that wraps up our look at modafinil as a potential treatment for ADHD.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground today.
We did.
Highlighting both those promising aspects of modafinil, but also acknowledging that we still need a lot more research to really get the full picture.
We really do, and hopefully this conversation has been insightful for you all listening and maybe even sparked some of your own curiosity about, the evolving landscape of ADHD treatment.
Definitely. And remember, everyone, knowledge is power.
It really is.
So the more you understand about all the options that are out there, the better equipped you'll be to make those informed decisions about your own health and well-being.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
And until next time, keep asking those questions and stay curious.